Good morning. Today I wanted to talk to you about the announcement of Studio Series Kup and Hot Rod that were made an announcement on Hasbro Pulse Fans first Friday, October 16th for the new line of Studio Series figures that are coming out in 2021. So Kup here is a more animation on screen, movie animation accurate version of Kup. He's definitely an upgrade in terms of design and color from the Titans Return figure. Now, if you had the Titans Return figure, you probably knew there was also a Takara Tomy Legends version of that character that had colors that were a little bit more accurate to his on screen counterpart. Now, this Kup, I think, does make the Autobot mode look a little bit more accurate. The car mode isn't that much different, but definitely the Autobot mode has some things that the Titans Return Legends figure did not. So the proportions are more accurate. The shoulders look like they're a little bit low on the chest. Maybe that's something that is going to turn off a few fans, but I think that the if there's a point of contention, it's going to be that face. It's looking a little bit dour, a little bit grim, which I think I would have been happy if he had had a kind of a smiling old man face, or if it was just a kind of grim looking face. But this one looks like he's kind of dour or sad, and it's an interesting artistic choice, but I'm not sure if that's something that's going to make or break your decision on buying this figure. Now, the vehicle mode does look really nice. It's very much like the movie vehicle. Interestingly, it was, I think, just last year that I understood that the name Kup came from a shortened version of the word pickup, as in pickup truck, Kup, pickup truck, and I felt kind of like a buffoon not knowing that for so many years. But hey, you learn something new every day. It looks like it's got rolling wheels, and the thighs will also feature rolling wheels on the front of the shins. And if we turn this around to the other side, you can see that little accessory, that attachment there, which is supposed to be Kup's little compartment of energon goodies that he uses to entice the alley cons on the planet Quintessa, which doesn't really buy him or Hot Rod much in terms of friendly currency. But it's there. It's a really nice little accessory. I'm glad that they included that in. And I'm glad that he has a translucent windshield instead of a tinted windshield. Which, again, it's one of those things where some fans like it to be a solid color and other fans like it to just be a translucent window. Now, the box features his number as being 8602. He's a deluxe sized figure. Now, compared to most of the other deluxes that were announced for the first wave of Studio Series, I find that Kup is a little bit lacking in terms of accessories, since most of the other ones got a whole bunch of other little goodies and assortments. But that's the decision that they made. You can see in the artwork that Kup's got that frowny face, and again, I think that's a really interesting artistic choice, but it doesn't really look like any face I remember from the movie. The diorama backdrop will allow you to recreate that scene where Kup and Hot Rod are fighting that giant mechanical squid and other little fishies at underwater. And I'm kind of unsure, but I think that Kup is supposed to be able to separate his limbs in order to recreate that scene a little bit more faithfully. It's a really nice diorama for sure. I really like all of these that they're coming with. It might be one of those things that just become collector's items over the years, and maybe who knows, one day you'll find them all on eBay going for hundreds of dollars. I'm already starting to see people posting their Titan Return and Legends Kup on eBay, and they're I'm thinking it's in anticipation of this figure being released. I think it's very likely we're just going to get all of the 86 cast that were introduced in the movie. Kup, Hot Rod, who else? RC, Ultra Magnus. They're probably all going to get a Studio Series release. I'm questioning if we're going to get an Optimus Prime in Studio Series that was animation accurate in time. But let's go ahead and talk about Hot Rod. Um, I've I'm not the biggest Hot Rod fan, but from what I hear from people who are, they're saying that this Hot Rod is the most accurate version. And I'm just going to take them on their word because the last one I had was the Classics edition of the character, which did have, as you can see, this figure comes with a saw blade to chop little fishies up. I had the little one where it had like a really tiny pizza cutter, and I thought that that was an interesting gimmick. You can see all the accessories that he comes with, the blast effects for his two pistols, the Matrix of Leadership, and a blast effect for the Matrix of Leadership to recreate that iconic moment at the end of the movie. One thing to note is that Hot Rod also has his flip down visor so that he can scope out his enemies coming from above. I think that's a really cool feature, and I don't think that they needed to include that, but I think that makes this figure stand out a lot more. I don't know why a Transformer or other robot would need a drop down set of binoculars. I think they could just focus their eyes a little bit better and they'd get the same result. But hey, it's a movie. So his backdrop that he comes with is from the interior of Unicron, where he holds up the Matrix of Leadership. Now, I don't know if this is the only pose that Hot Rod can form where he has his. The only way that he can hold the Matrix is up high over his head, or if he can also put the Matrix in his hand and have the elbows stick out. I'm not sure if he can do that pose, but he can definitely put it over his head. I think he can put it in front of his body. And so at least there's that. I think that it's one of those things we'll have to wait until the toy to come out to see it. Now, the box number is 8604. So he is a Voyager size, so he's not a deluxe size, which is kind of a surprise because I don't think that the accessories he comes with really make him a Voyager size price tag item, but maybe this is just one of those things where they wanted to include all these items, and Hasbro said, we can't do this at the deluxe price point, so that could be what it is. It's basically a deluxe sized figure with a bunch of little accessories, sort of like the idea behind releasing Optimus Prime in Earthrise with his trailer in order to make him a leader class, even though he's really a Voyager-sized scale figure. The car mode itself is rather interesting because I've heard some people say they don't really like the way that the spoiler is so far down the back. It makes it look like his spoiler is way too high over his shoulders when in Autobot mode. I'm not sure if that makes or breaks this figure for you. So, I mean, Hot Rod is an okay character for me, but I'm definitely not his biggest fan. Do I think that it was his fault that Optimus Prime died? No, and if he did, I think he redeemed himself. That's my stance on that whole thing. You'll notice that little yellow portion of plastic right there in the middle of the vehicle mode. I'm wondering if that was a cost-saving measure because it's definitely not on-screen accurate. I think that may have just been like a yellow piece that they decided to mold with the tail fin, and that just saves some of the cost of the figure. So again, maybe Toy Hacks will come out with a sticker that you could put over that, or maybe it's one of those things that doesn't bother you. Now, as you can see here, you can see Kup's leg is removed from his body, and his thigh appears to be detachable, but I'm not sure if that's a feature of the toy or if somebody just, whoever was taking this photo thought it'd be a funny thing to do to misassemble this figure in order to get this shot. I mean, it'd be nice if you could take the figure apart. It kind of would make sense that it is a feature because we already have the weaponizer figures at parts form, so I don't see why this wouldn't be a thing that is featured with the toy. And I think that the Studio Series animation figures are actually coming out really nice. They look like they have so much superb articulation, and I'm excited to see the rest of them too.